Hello and welcome back to ManVFilm. This is a Vinegar Syndrome announcement video. Again, I'm still not feeling great and I feel like I want to record something. So I'm going to talk about the new announcements that came out yesterday, have a look at the subscriber titles. We might dive in and look at the partner labels as well a little bit. Won't spend too much time on them. Let's dive into the subscriber releases this month. First up is Phase 4. Following a mysterious eclipse-like solar event, scientists begin to notice strange and unexplainable behavioural changes in ants. While initially written off as an unconcerning anomaly, it soon becomes apparent that the creatures have developed advanced intelligence, along with the ability to work collectively. Scientists have been transferred to a futuristic lab in a remote part of the Arizona desert in which to study these phenomena. I really like Phase 4. It's a strange, odd movie, but I find it so captivating while I watch it. You kind of have these scientists battling these ants who seem to have the betterment of them in every turn. It's got some wonderful imagery. It's a weird, unusual story. And to be honest, it was something that I was not overly won over with when I heard the announcement. I've got a great 101 Films disc already, and I don't know if it really needed a 4K, but there is one extra on here that kind of catches my eye, and it's the 89-minute preview version with multiple soundtrack options included on the Blu-ray disc. I'd quite like to see an extended version. Then, of course, there is Evolutions, the making of Phase 4, a brand new documentary at 48 minutes, which should be great. And then this little bit here, raw footage from Saul Bass's original ending montage sequence, 16 minutes. I mean, I'm getting it as a subscriber. I'm curious about those extras, and I'm kind of curious to see what the film looks like in 4K. I do kind of like this weird oddity. Next up, we have a box set of 3 movies: Spanish Bloodbath, Night of the Skull, Violent Bloodbath, The Fish with the Eyes of Gold. Gotta love those titles. So in the early 70s, while Italy led the charge in the production of gialli, its neighbour to the west, Spain, began churning out more and more of its own takes on the genre. With their uniquely Catalan flavour and casts, this trio of criminally underseen Spanish gialli have all been newly restored in 4K from the original camera negatives and are making their Blu-ray worldwide debuts. Let's have a quick look at the synopsis for some of these. After Lord Archibald Marion is brutally murdered by an unknown assailant, the bitter and feuding members of his family gather at his large country mansion for a reading of the will. But their arrival is marked by a second grisly killing, that of Archibald's wife, which sets into motion an increasingly chilling series of deaths. Only one of a handful of traditional gialli directed by Jess Franco. The improbably Louisiana set Night of the Skull is a delightfully pulpy old dark house whodunit. It sounds very tropey, it sounds kind of fun. I've seen many movies with a similar plot, and I'm interested to see how that tackles it. Next up, we have Violent Bloodbath. A notorious harsh French judge vacationing at a luxury resort finds his holiday interrupted when a mysterious killer begins murdering those in and around the hotel. But what makes these killings all the more unsettling is that they're being carried out identically to the methods used by the judge's executed murderers, offering more subtext narrative which leads to a memorably cynical and downbeat ending. George Grau's Violent Bloodbath is a uniquely thought-provoking entry in the annals of Spanish gialli. Again, I've seen things similar to that, so again, I feel as if we're on solid ground, I suppose, and a plot-wise, anyway. Next up, we have The Fish with the Eyes of Gold, which I love that title. Derek, a handsome young Englishman, has recently moved to the Spanish seaside town. A Lothario, Derek is quick to begin seducing the local women, only for a murderer to start picking them off one by one. Despite his protests of innocence, the police conclude that Derek is a sex maniac and responsible for the crimes. However, could another individual be behind these heinous killings? Remaining thematically and structurally aligned with its Italian forebearers, Pedro Luis Ramirez, The Fish with the Eyes of Gold, is an engrossing twist filled coastal caper with plenty of murders and other macabre surprises. Now, the plots all sound terrific and typical of the kind of giallo things, and I have seen a few Spanish giallos, so yes, I am interested in that. If I wasn't, tough, because I'm getting it anyway. And lastly, we have The Playgirls and the Vampire, one which the title initially just put me in the back foot. A troupe of 5 showgirls, along with their manager, are travelling through a remote stretch of countryside when their minibus gets stuck after a rainstorm. Finding refuge at the castle home of the mysterious Count de Gabor Kernassi, the women make the best of the situation by continuing their burlesque routines. But little do they know that the strange Count is harbouring a fiendish secret and is intent on subjecting the lovely ladies to his vampiric desire. It actually looks quite interesting. 1960 film, 81 minutes. It's Italian, so of course I'm interested in it. There are various titles on this. Curse of the Vampire, Défilé pour un Vampire, The Playgirls and the Vampire. It just looks kind of curious. I'm not sold 100% on it. I think I'd like to see it at that quick runtime, early Italian. It looks kind of early exploitation as well. I'm curious, but wary of this title. And that's the 3 titles that are coming as part of the subscriber package this month. There are also some titles from the sub labels. First up, we have A Man Called Hero from Vinegar Syndrome Archive. Now, this has got a kind of full-on synopsis here, but I won't go through a lot of. It's about Hero, a gifted martial artist who is honoured to be chosen for training by his mentor, Pride. Upon arriving home to tell his family about his achievement, he finds that his parents have been murdered by a group of foreign gangsters. Hero then travels to America to get vengeance, and years later, his son travels after him to try and find him and discover the legend of Hero. Now, I found that almost all of the Asian films that have been released as part of the VSA range have been rather fun. This one has Anthony Wong and Yun Biao in it, which is great in my eyes. It looks particularly wild and wacky from the trailer that's there, and I have high hopes that this is going to be another winning film in the VSA rather than something like Dr. Jekyll's Dungeon of Boredom. Next on VSL, we have 5 Card Stud. I'm really enjoying what VSL are doing at the moment, the kind of mix of movies they're releasing, and it's probably the most exciting of the sub-labels in my eyes at the moment, for my tastes. After a player is discovered to have cheated his way to winning a high-stakes card game, he's sentenced to a no-trial hanging. Despite the objections of fellow player Van Morgan, although the men responsible for the murder go unpunished, it's not long before a cowboy-garbed killer begins stalking those involved with the crime and killing them off one by one. Is Van dispensing his own breed of outlaw justice, or could another, even more vengeful assailant be responsible for the bloodshed? It was the cast on this one that just sold it. Starring Dean Martin and Robert Mitchum, supporting with Inger Stevens, Roddy McDowall, and Yaphet Kotto. That was enough for me to go, I need to see this. It's restored in 4K from its original camera negative. Got some interesting looking extras. The film just looks terrific from the trailer. It was a no-brainer. I had to pick this one up. And that's almost all. We have one more title from De Gauser Video, which is Herencia Diabolica. When Tony, a successful businessman, receives a call informing him that he has inherited his late aunt's vast estate, he uproots himself and his wife, Arnie, from New York to Mexico. While adjusting to and exploring their new Gothic home, Tony and Annie come up with a mysterious clown doll. Although merely unnerved by the doll's strange appearance at first, Annie soon becomes concerned as it begins turning up out of nowhere in every corner of the house. When a series of fatal accidents occur on a near couple's property, with the doll always at the scene, Tony and Annie come to the terrifying realization that a sinister force has possessed it, and a race begins to figure out how to bring the carnage to an end. There we go. And from that clip of the trailer that's on YouTube, you can kind of tell that the doll is portrayed by a person. It's it, there's something about it that kind of draws me in. At the same time, there is something about it that repels me far away. I am completely unsure about this, and I am going to hold off for some reviews. So I will be getting the 3 subscriber titles. I have picked up A Man Called Hero, and I have picked up a 5-card stud. Herencia Diabolica is something I will leave at the moment, but I may come back to. Now let's jump over to the partner label releases, which I won't go into all of them. We'll have a look at some of the ones which are here, which really kind of intrigued me a little bit. Now, The Zombie Army was one of those titles that just had such a great cover. Look at it. It looks fantastic. And then I started to go through some of the screenshots, and I was a little bit worried. It didn't win me over as much as I thought it was, even though that the cover's great. So I quickly just left it alone. Simon Killer is one movie that I've already got on the Masters of Cinema series, which is one I've still not got around to as yet. I was somewhat interested with the Regine Padovani, which is from the director of Gina and Dirty Money, but I've not watched Dirty Money as yet. Gina I loved. I may come back to that later on down the line. And from the other titles, there was only one that jumped out to me as something I had to have, and that was Bubble Bath. Anything from Deaf Crocodile that is animated, I am all in for. I have heard things about this. It looks absolutely crazy. Sold. I can't wait to get my hands on this and check out this. It just looks weird in all the right ways, and is something that I'm eager to get my hands on. No, there's nothing else really jumped out at me here from the partner labels. If there's something I should have looked at, please let me know, because I'm always curious. I need a little bit of encouragement in certain titles. I've picked up enough from this batch. I wanted to kind of limit my partner label titles because I felt as if I was getting too much and not getting round to them. But I am generally happy with everything I've picked up for the moment. I would love to know if you've picked up anything from this, your thoughts on any of the movie, whether it be in the positive or negative. Let me know. I'm always curious about what you guys have to say about it. As always, there are links to the Patreon membership program and manvfilm.com in the description box below, where you can really help out the channel, which would be fantastic. And hopefully, I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.